Good day, everyone. I'm Arvin S. Enriquez, your subject teacher in General Mathematics. With this video lesson, we're going to discuss the topic Simple and Compound Interest under your General Mathematics from Quarter 2, Module 1. Our lesson objectives: at the end of this video lesson, you are expected to first illustrate simple and compound interest, and distinguish between simple and compound interest. So let us now deal with the definition of terms. For your simple interest, we simply use I sub s to represent your simple interest. So it is an interest that is computed on the principal. So meaning say that your simple interest will be based on or computed on the principal. The interest remains constant throughout the terms, meaning to say whatever your interest from your first term, still it is the same with the interest up to your last term of payment. So in each term of payment, there is a constant interest, and that is called a simple interest. And addition to that, a simple interest, is charged only on the loan amount called the principal. That's why we define it that is computed on the principal. So, thus, the interest on the interest previously earned is not included because the interest remains constant throughout the term. Simple interest is calculated by multiplying, no, by multiplying your principal by the rate of interest by the number of payment period or periods in a year. So your time there, it should be in terms of years. If the given value for your time, if you're asked to compute for the value of your simple interest and there's a given value of time in terms of month, then you need to convert this one in terms of year for us to calculate the value of your simple interest. Next term, the lender or creditor. So a person or institution, so it can be a private, institution, a lending company, or an individual person, who invests the money or makes the funds available. So there are the person, individual person, or group of person, private institution, no, or corporation that invests money or makes the funds available for the borrower or the debtor. So they are called lender or creditors. And for the next term, so the borrower or debtor. So from the word borrower, these are person, no? It can be person, not only a person, but it can also be a private institution or a group or a corporation that who wants to borrow, no? Or even a government institution, no, that needs a fund for them to execute a certain projects for a given time frame. That's why even government institution, corporation, or private institution, at some point, they borrow a money to a lender or creditor for a reason that they need to execute a certain programs or projects. So these are person who owes the money or avails of the fund from the lender. Next term, origin or loan date. So the date on which money is received by the borrower. So this will be the time or date in on which the money is received by the borrower. So that will be your origin or loan date. Or it is the date no where the money where the lender or the creditor release no the money to the borrower or debtor. So that will be your origin or loan date. So our next term is that repayment date or maturity date. So by definition, it is a date no on which the money borrowed or loan is to be completely repaid. Or in other words, no, it is an endpoint of your term of payment. So this will be your repayment date or maturity date wherein the money borrowed or loan no, is to be completely repaid. So at this point, the principal and the interest will now return to the lender or creditor. And it was being fully paid no, to the lender or creditor. So our next term is that your time or term. So we use small t to represent your time or term. So by definition, it is an amount of time in years the money is borrowed or invested. So length of time between the origin and the maturity date. So whatever the time interval between your origin or the release date of the money being borrowed no, by a borrower and the maturity date, that will be your time or term of payment. So that we called time or term, and we simply use small t to represent this time or term. So next term is that your principal. So we use big letter P to represent your principal. So it is an amount of money borrowed or invested on the origin date. So whatever the amount of money being released by the lender to a borrower, so that will be your principal without an interest or without adding an interest or additional amount to it. So it is only the amount of money being borrowed by the borrower to a lender. Next term is that your rate or we simply use small r to represent your rate. So it is the rate of interest. So by definition, it is an annual rate, usually in percent. So if there's a given value, no, which is in decimal, we need to convert this one to percent for us to look for the value of the rate because it should be in terms of percent. But but vice versa, no, if there's a given value of a rate of interest in terms of percent and we're asked to solve for the value of simple interest, then we need to convert this percent to a decimal. So charged by the lender or rate of increase of the investment. So this will be the additional no amount once the borrower no decided to uh, pay the money that she borrowed no from the lender. This will be the additional amount no that we add on the principal. So that will be the, and that percent of amount is called the rate of interest. Now the next term is that your interest. So we simply use I, big letter I, to represent your interest. So it is an amount paid or earned for the use of money. So there is no such thing that there is a lender who makes fund available for the borrower that they uh, that there is no interest. No, every lender set a percentage that represent an interest or an additional amount once the borrower decided to pay the money that he borrowed from these lenders and creditors. So that will be your interest. Next term is the maturity value or the future value. So when we say maturity value or future value, so it's an amount after 3 years that the lender receives from the borrower on the maturity date. Meaning to say, when we say maturity value or future value in a short words, no, or if we simplify the definition of your future value, it is the principal plus the interest. So whatever the result between, or it is the sum of the principal and the interest applied on the principal that the borrower or debtor borrowed from the lender or creditor. So that will be your maturity value or future value. And we simply use big letter F to represent this maturity value or your future value. So let us now use this problem for us to visualize what is a simple interest. So what this simple interest can bring to us, no? What is the concept of this simple interest? And for us to visualize and for us to learn what is a simple interest, let's now deal with this simply saving. So it's an example problem for this simple interest. So a working student at one of the biggest fast food restaurants no, in Lucena City wants to save for the upcoming school year. He wants to deposit his money to a Filipino-owned bank so that even in a simple way, he can help his fellow Filipino. Suppose his monthly salary is 10,000 pesos and it was deposited to an account that earns a simple interest of 2.75% per annum. When we say per annum, it's per year. So we simply apply 2.75% per year. So find the simple interest after 6 months, 1 year, and 18 months. So in this problem, we're asked to find the simple interest or the once we apply your 2.75% per annum no, as the rate of interest, and now we are asked to find the value of your simple interest, or simply what will be the maturity or future value after 6 months, 1 year, and 18 months once he deposited 10,000 pesos to a Filipino-owned bank. So that will be our task now. Let's deal and find the simple interest. So for the solution, we simply use this formula for your simple interest, your I sub s that represent your simple interest, your is equal to P, which is your principal or amount invested or borrowed on the origin date. Your R is the rate or the simple interest rate, no, that we apply on the principal. And your T, this will be the term or time in terms of years. Now, with the given example, no, for this simple interest, so we need to follow a certain step for us to solve a simple interest, no, that is being unknown for 6 months, for 1 year, and for 18 months. Now, step number 1, identify the given and the unknown. Yes, it is, no, right after reading, right after uh, of some analysis, no, with the given values, no, or with the given problem, I mean, then we need to look for the given. You need to identify the given and the unknowns. So we can solve the unknowns by simply looking the given values. So we can use a certain formula for us to look or for us to find the value of the unknown values. So in the problem, no, in simply saving, so there is a monthly salary of a worker, no, which is 10,000 pesos. So that will be your principal now because he decided to deposit to a Filipino-owned bank this 10,000 pesos. Then the bank apply, no, 2.75% per annum, no? Should be per annum. Why is that? So, a while ago, I said that if the given, no, is in terms of percentage, no, and we're asked to find the simple interest, we need to convert this 2.75% to decimal. So by simply dividing this 2.75 by 100 and the resulting value is 0.0275. We just simply divide your 2.75 by 100. Now for your t, since we're asked to find the value uh, of your simple interest for 6 months, for 1 year, and for 18 months, so 6 months will be equal to 2 quarters, no? In a certain year. Meaning to say, your 6 months is half of a year. So if we're asked to convert this one, no? Because the your t here should be in terms, no? Your term or time in your formula, your small t in your formula, it should be in terms of years. That's why if the given is in terms of month, we really need to divide this one by 12 for us to convert this given value, no, to years or year. So that's why your 6 now will be divided to 12 for 6 months, or simply uh, it is zero point 0.5 because 6 months is one half of a year, or that will be equivalent of 2 quarters, no, or that will be equal for 2 quarters, no. So 1 for 1 year, so we don't need to convert this one because it's in terms of year. Then 1.5 is equal to 18 over 12. So for the next unknown values, it is 18 months. So we need to divide this one by 12 for us to convert this one to, or in terms of years. So that will be equal to 1.5. Now, what will be the value of your simple interest? For step number 2, substitute the given values to the formula. Yes, it is. No, we simply use IS is equal to PRT. So for 6 months, so your P is 10,000, your rate of interest is 0.025, then we multiply it by 0.5, 6 months will be equal to 0.5 year, because 6 months is one half of a year. Now, by simplifying, though, by simply multiplying these three values to each other, then the resulting value or the product of these is 137.5 pesos. So this will be the interest, that his money will earn from a Filipino-owned bank with the interest of 2.75% per annum. So after 6 months, the interest, of his money, which is 10,000, is 137.5 pesos. Now, for 1 year, for your simple interest, we again, still your principal is 10,000. We multiply it by 0.0275 and we multiply it by 1 because it is for 1 year. So we don't need to divide it by 12 because the given is in terms of year. Now, by simply multiplying your 10,000 to 0.0275 multiplied by 1, the resulting value is 275 pesos. And that will be the value of your simple interest for the 10,000. Once we deposit 10,000 after 1 year, this money will earn 275 pesos using the simple interest. And for 18 months, it's the same scenario. We apply your principal, 10,000. We apply your rate of interest, which is 0.0275. And we convert your given time in terms of year. That's why we divide your 18 by 12 for us to convert these 18 months in terms of year. So it becomes 1.5. So the product is 412.50 pesos. So after 18 months, his 10,000 that he deposited on the Filipino-owned bank earned a 412.5 pesos as a simple interest. So notice and please do take note that the time was divided by 12 if the given is in months, because the time or term in your formula in finding or in looking your or in computing, I mean, for your simple interest is in terms of years. That's why if the given is in terms of months, then we need to divide this one by 12 for us to convert this to year or years. You will also do same if the given is in days. The divisor will be 360 for the ordinary interest or 365 if you are looking for the exact interest. So there is a difference of between 360 and 365 and it is 5, Please do take note of this, that if you're asked to look for the ordinary interest, then we use 360. And if you're asked to look for the exact interest, then we use 365. So don't worry, Because because it will be indicated in the problem or it will be mentioned, in the problem. If you will not, if you will compute for the ordinary or exact interest. But there are cases, but there are and situations wherein there is no a key word or words like ordinary interest, exact interest in the given problem. But if not indicated, always use the ordinary interest. So in the if in the given problem, if there is no keyword or words like ordinary interest, exact interest, then we simply use 360 as a divisor if the given time or term is in terms of day or days. So which consists of 360 days. So in case that the given time is in years, then multiply it as it is. No, we don't need to convert this one. No, when the given is in terms of year or years, then we don't need to convert because your t or time in your formula, it should be in terms of years. So another example for this simple interest, no, Due to COVID-19 pandemic, Miss Dada, a female resident of Barangay May Pagkakaisa, somewhere in Quezon Province, thinks of a business that can provide for her needs as well as the need of her neighbors, so she can be of help even in this trying time. So he wants to help his neighbors, no, by simply thinking a business that he wants to provide, no, or that he wants to through execute, no, for her to provide her needs as well as the needs of her neighbors. So having no money at hand, she decided to borrow from a bank as the startup capital, no? At first, Miss Dada has no money. That's why he decided to borrow from a bank. And this money that he borrowed from the bank served as her capital, no, for this business. So the capital of 50,000 pesos at 7% simple interest rate payable within 5 years. So compute for the interest yield. So for the solution where Miss Dada was being involved, and it is all about again, no, with your simple interest. So the computation is that. So it was payable for 5 years, no. So we put your time here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That represent 5 years, no. By simply applying the definition of your simple interest, the interest on the interest previously earned is not included. So meaning to say, so whatever your principal in your first term is still the same with the principal in your second term, third term, fourth term, and your last term or the fifth term in this problem. So the rate of interest here is 7%. Still 7% up to the last payment, no? So the solution, as you can see on the solution, no, on how we find the interest, no, your principal did not change. So whatever your principal from the first uh, term up to the last term, still it is 50,000 pesos. So for the first term, we simply multiply it by this 50,000 pesos to 0.07. So that will be your 7%. We convert this one to a decimal by simply dividing this 7% to 100 for us to convert this percent to decimal. And it becomes 0.07. Then we multiply it by 1. That will be your time or the first year of payment. That's why it's 1. Oh, so it's the same scenario with the second payment, same scenario with the third payment, same scenario with the fourth payment, and to the last payment, which is your fifth year. So what you can see here in this, in how we compute your simple interest is that whatever your principal here is still your principal up to the last year of payment. So the resulting answer for this, the first uh, for the first year of payment, the simple interest is 3,500. For the second is 7,000. For the third year is 10,500. And for the fourth, it's 14,000. And for the fifth or last payment, it's 17,500. Now, and for us to find the maturity date, no, in each year, no, for the first year, no, as you can see, the amount or the principal is still 50,000 pesos up to the last year of payment. What will you notice on the interest is that so there is an increase in interest, but there is no increase on the part of principal. So I mean to say There is no such thing with the simple interest, no. There is no such thing that there is an increase in each year of the amount of the principal. Whatever your principal on the first year of payment is still your principal up to the last year of payment. So there is only increase, no, in your interest. So that will be the concept of your simple interest. That's why interest on the interest previously earned is not included. So by that definition, no, the maturity value after your first year is 53,500. The maturity value after 2 years is 57,000. And after 3 years, it becomes 60,500. And after 4 years, it becomes 64,000. And after 5 years, it becomes 67,500 pesos. Again, please do take note, and we notice that the simple interest remains constant throughout the year, and you only multiply it depending on the number of years that you are computing. Yes, it is, no? As you can see, there is only a change in your time, but in the rate of interest and at the principal, there is no change as you can see on the table. So therefore, if you are a borrower, make sure that the interest on your loan is not too high for you. Try to compute it first before you apply for a loan. Compare first the interest and the term of the different lending institution before you decide to consider loan or investment. So you need to look for two, three, or more lending institution or banks, no, wherein they have they offer different, no, rate of interest and terms, no, or on how long you will repay, no, your on how long will you pay or repay the amount you borrowed from them. So those are considerations that we need to consider: the rate of interest and the term of payment, on how long we're going to pay as a borrower for from the lending institution or the lender or creditor. Now let's deal with your compound interest. So your compound interest, so we simply use I sub C to represent your compound interest. So it's the interest computed on the principal and on the accumulated past interest. So for example, if we're looking at, if we're asked to convert for the compound interest for the second year of payment, no? So your principal in your second year of payment is your principal plus the interest applied on it during your first year of payment. So that will be now your principal or the value of your principal in your second year of payment. That's why we define your compound interest also as an interest on interest. So it is an interest on interest that is being applied to your principal. So compound interest, no, is a way to earn money because you don't just earn using your original money. Yes, it is. Because again, no, we define your compound interest as an interest of interest. Because whatever your principal and interest applied on it, no, during your first year of payment, that will now be, or the maturity date, no, I mean the the future value, I mean, no, during your first year of payment, that will be now your principal in your second year of payment. So, but also the interest you earn. So to give you a deeper concept of compound interest, reflect the following questions. Have you ever lent money to someone like a friend, sibling, or relative? If so, would you let them pay more than or less than or just equal to what you lent to them? Since you consider to help them, probably you will answer just an equal amount is okay even though your money has been used for a period. But I'm sure some will answer that you should receive more than the amount they borrowed. When you say whatever the amount, there should be an applied interest on it, then that will be your future value of your money that you release from them. And no one will say that you should receive less than the amount they borrowed. No? Once you borrow the money, it should be an equal to the amount you borrowed. No? If you decided to return the money that you borrowed, it should be equal, no, to the amount of money that you borrowed from them, or more than the amount of money that you borrowed from them. There is no such thing. If you borrow 10,000, then you will return it to a lender, uh, and it is 9,000. No, there is no such thing. No, it should be equal or more than to the money that you borrowed. I know you have your own perspective in life, but let's us see if compound interest will change your view in life regarding loans or borrowings, savings, and investment. So, are you familiar with credit cards? So, we have what we call perma def, which means a continuous outstanding balance of a credit card, where they pay the monthly minimum that fits in their budget to lessen the burden of interest monthly, but tries to add some def again in the following months. So the defs never end. So why did I tell you this? No. If you are a debtor, compound interest is not good for you. Yes, it is, no. Because your compound interest, no, by simply applying the definition, it is an interest on interest. So better yet pay your debt in full the soonest possible so that the burden of interest will not be on your shoulder. Conversely, no, if you are an investor, compound interest is your best buddy. It is better to invest in a long period of time for you to have a greater return of your investment or ROI through the interest earned. So it is better for investors, no, to invest their money with an institution, with an individual or a corporation with that follows a compound interest. So if you have the means or a way to save and invest early, you must consider it as soon as possible for you to gain more money in the future. So for the example, no, for us to visualize what is a compound interest, so let's deal with this example problem. So due to COVID-19 pandemic, still Miss Dada is being involved on this problem. A female resident of Barangay May Pagkakaisa, somewhere in Quezon province, thinks of a business that can provide for her needs as well as the needs of her neighbors, so she can be helped even in these trying times. Having no money at hand, she decided to borrow from a bank as the startup capital, which is 50,000 pesos at 7% interest rate compounded annually. So this is only the difference, no, from our previous example, which where Miss Dada is also being involved. But in this problem, we apply your compound interest and payable within 5 years, compute for the interest yield. In each term, no, for within 5 years, what will be the interest in each term using the compound interest, or the concept of your compound interest. So for the solution for the compound interest, no? So we use 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the values of your time, because Miss Dada will pay his uh, amount that she borrowed from the bank, no, within 5 years. So the amount at the start of year T. So as you can see, it's different with your simple interest. Unlike in your simple interest, here in your compound interest, in your first year, it is your 50,000, or the principal that Miss Dada borrowed, no, from a bank. But in this case, the interest was being applied. That's why I said before, no, that your compound interest is the interest on interest, meaning to say, whatever your future value after your first year of payment, that will be your principal now in your second year of payment. That's why, if this is the future value or the maturity value in your first year payment, as you can see on this table, it becomes your principal in your second year of payment. Same thing with the maturity value in your second year of payment or second term. So it becomes your principal in your third year of payment. Same thing with the maturity value of the money that she borrowed from the bank, no, for the third year. So it becomes the principal, no, in the fourth year of payment. Same thing with the maturity value, no, in this fourth year of payment. So it becomes the principal on the fifth year of payment. And the 50,000 becomes 70,705.39. So it earns an interest of 20,700 plus, no? So your 50,000, the 50,000 pesos being borrowed by Miss Dada to a bank, no, earned a 20,000 plus uh, as an interest, no, applying the compound interest with the 7% rate of interest. So as you can see on the solution, we apply, no, still we apply uh, the formula PRT, no, we apply your PRT, your principal, your rate of interest year, and your time for the first year, and becomes 3.5. As you can see, we just simply add your interest to your principal, so it becomes your maturity value or future value. That's why it becomes 53,500 pesos. Now, in this case, no, that's why by definition we apply, no, or we look for the compound interest as an interest on interest, because whatever your future value or maturity value in your first year of payment, it becomes your principal, no, in your second year of payment, and so on and so on. It's the same process up to the last year of payment. That's why between your simple and compound interest, your simple interest will earn less than you can earn from the compound interest. No, once you apply your compound interest, because this compound interest earn more than what you can earn from a simple interest, because this compound interest, by simply applying your definition, it is an interest on interest. Meaning to say, the interest will earn another interest, and it will be add up to your principal, then still your maturity value will earn an additional interest, then earn an additional interest up to the last year of payment. So that will be your compound interest now. So compound interest includes the interest from the current year and added on the principal at the start of the following year, which means, no, that the previous interest earns interest as well, together with the principal until fully paid. So the interest yielded on simple interest is lower than the compound interest. So the amount of the at the end of 5 years in simple interest is 67,500 compared to your compound interest, it's 70,705. So it's 5,000, I think it is 5,000 or 3,000 more, no? With the computation with your simple interest. So therefore, if you are a borrower, make sure that the interest on your loan is not too high again. If you will find a lender that offers simple interest, better grab it than a lender who offers compound interest because the lender will earn more, no, using compound interest than a simple interest. So on the other hand, if you are an investor, learn to invest your money to an interest that will yield higher returns like compound interest. So if you're an investor, try to look for a company, that can offer you a compound interest so you can invest your money there, no, unlike with a company that will offer you a simple interest. Because if you decided to invest, no, to a company offering you a compound interest, no, with a compound interest, then it's better for you as an investor because it will your money will earn more, no, than to a company that will offer you a simple interest. So if you will be a lender in the future, I hope that you will not be abusing regarding the interest. Be reasonable. Why? Because if you really want to help other people, then you don't need to put an too much interest on the principal that they borrowed from you, and act generously by helping others who needed you the most. So here is the formula to find the future value in a compound interest is given by your F, or your future value, is equal to P multiplied by 1 plus R, or raised to T, which is your time or term in this case. So it should be term and time. So it's a typographical error, so it should be term or time in years. So F is your future value, your P is your principal amount, your R is the compound interest rate, your T is the term or time in years. So also to find the compound interest, just deduct the principal P from the computed future value. Yes, it is no, because your future value will be equal to your principal plus interest. That's why if we deduct your principal to the future value, then the resulting value is your computed interest. So in the next module, you will encounter situations where interest will be computed more than once a year. Because in this module, we just only introduce what is a simple and compound interest, on how we get uh, uh, the value of your simple and compound interest in a very simple scenario. In, in your next module, there are more example problems, complicated problems, where your simple and compound interests are involved. Now let's deal with the summary and for us to visualize more what this simple interest and compound interest can bring to us. So for the meaning of a simple and compound interest, your simple interest is the interest which is a percentage of the total principal amount. Meaning to say, in each term of the payment, there is no such thing as increase in the principal. While in your compound interest, it is the interest which is a percentage of both principal and accrued interest. Meaning say, for example, again, no, if there are 2 years of payment, so whatever your future value or maturity value in your first year of payment, that will be your principal in your second year of payment. That's why we define your compound interest as an interest on interest. Now, with the return for lender, so your simple interest offers low returns for the lender. Yes, it is. Now, compared to the return of investments when you are investing to an institution or a bank that offers you a compound interest. So now your compound interest, it is an interest offers a comparatively high return to the lenders. That's why if you are a lender and you want to invest for something, try to look for a company, an institution, or even a government institution, a private person or individual, a private institution or a corporation that can provide you or that can offer you, a return of investment that deals with a compound interest because it can provide you a more ha- a higher I mean a higher return of investment if you are a lender. Now, if you're a borrower, it's totally a different story. If you're asked to uh, pick or choose between your simple interest and compound interest, then go with the institution that can provide you, a capital with a simple interest. Now with the principal, so for your simple interest, the principal is constant for simple interest. Yes, it is up to the last year of payment, your principal is constant. So whatever your principal in your first year of payment, that will also be your principal up to the last year of payment. Now, for the compound interest, principal for compound interest keeps on changing due to the addition of the accrued interest in the entire period. That's why whatever your future value in your first year of payment, that will be your principal in your second year of payment. So whatever your future value or maturity value in your second year of payment, that will be your that will be your principal in your third year of payment, and so on and so on. So it's a repetition. We say when we define your compound interest, it's an interest on interest. So the interest from your first year of payment will earn an additional interest on the second year of payment, and it will earn up to the last year of payment, and it becomes your principal. And for the growth, for the simple interest, principal and interest growth is constant. Yes, it is, no? The interest and the principal growth is constant because whatever your interest rate and principal on the first year of payment, that will be your principal interest rate up to the last year of payment. So the value of simple interest will change. It will be dependent, on the change on the term or period. That's why it changed. But the principal and interest growth in this simple interest is constant. In your compound interest, principal and interest growth is rapid and increases at a fast pace. Yes, it is, no? Because your interest or the future value in your first year of payment will earn an additional interest on the second year of payment after the last year of payment. So the interest growth and the principal growth are rapid and increases at a fast pace compared to your simple interest. So for the interest charge, for the simple interest is charged on the principal amount only. Yes, it is the interest charged on the principal amount only when you're dealing with your simple interest. While in your compound interest is charged on the principal and the interest amount. That's why whatever your future value in your first year of payment, that will be your principal on the next term of your payment. So that will be your compound interest. So for the calculation of the simple and compound interest, no, for your simple interest, calculation of simple interest is very easy, and it is also easy to understand because your principal and your rate of interest from the first year of payment up to the last year of payment is constant. And for the compound interest, compared to the simple interest, calculation of compound interest is difficult as it involves different periods of compounding. Yes, it can be semi-annually, monthly, quarterly, and annually. So it is different, no? It's a different scenario, no? Once you are asked to compute for a compound interest than to compute, no, for a simple interest. It is more complicated, no, than a simple interest. So for the useful of the simple and compound interest, your simple interest, so when it comes to buying, anything simple interest will always be better than your compound interest. Yes, it is, no? So most of the car loans calculated based on the simple interest. And for the compound interest is useful for investing. So it's more on investing since it allows the fund to grow at a faster rate. That's why if you're a lender, invest to an institution, for a corporation, or a private institution that offers you a compound interest than to an institution that can offer you that can offer only a simple interest that can apply on the amount of money that you're going to invest to them. So as a lender as an investor, choose compound interest. But as a borrower, no, choose simple interest. So that's how simple, no, uh, we visualize the concept of your simple interest and your compound interest and how we use and how useful it is, no, in our life. So for this activity, solve the following problems. So if Tina wants to earn 10% annual simple interest on investment, how much should she invest to have 30,000 pesos in 9 months? So here, as you can see, the given value of time is in terms of months. So that's why you need to convert this one in terms of years. And you need to convert the given rate of interest, no, in decimal for us to compute how much should she invest, no, or the principal. So the unknown for this number one is the principal, no. Now for number two, so for your number one, I mean, no, is for your simple interest, and your number two is for your compound interest. No, for number two, Lauro deposited 64,600 pesos in a savings account with, which pays 8% interest compounded semi-annually. So when we say compounded semi-annually, it is 6 months because annually is equal to your 12 months. But when we say semi-annually, it's half of the year, or meaning to say it's 6 months. What will his balance be in 4 years? So by simply applying your compound interest, then we can compute for this one. Thanks for watching. So please like, comment, and subscribe.